Welcome to our Act 3 series, where I talk to some of our client families here at Meadows Ireland to discover, well, what's their definition of true wealth? What does Act 3, or retiring with purpose, what does that look like? I hope you enjoy the series, and thank you in advance to my guests who are going to join me here at the studio at Meadows Ireland. Welcome back to the third act series. It's time for a reset. We're going to do it a little bit differently for this episode. Today I'm joined by Joe O'Connor. Joe is going to talk to us about how we get ourselves mentally and physically prepared and ready for that third act. It's so important. Joe O'Connor, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks for having me on. The 3 C's, just to go back to, and we spoke about this before, Carl, is, you touched on it there, when leaders are thinking about if I'm healthier, can I lead better? In modern society, there's lots of different technologies that can help us. Like AI is really helping with machine learning tasks. I don't think knowledge is really the USB that it used to be, because knowledge is very easily accessible. What is very unique, I think, and something that we should focus on and try to improve on, is our ability to see issues and ask the right questions. And in order for that, we need creativity, we need curiosity, and we need clarity.
Yeah.
Now, this is something I'm chasing in one of my chapters for my doctorate. How can I chase the 3 C's from a health, fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle perspective? How can I go into work in the morning with great clarity, with a draw for curiosity, and have great creativity? Because the tools are now there for me to ask the questions of. But if you don't know what's wrong because you don't have clarity, how can you use these tools to be more productive with the work you do?
Yeah, 100%. And I guess then, I'm just thinking through that, the consistency of everything you can do will help you bring those 3 C's. I love that idea. Okay, Joe, you've watched the other third act interviews. So if you haven't watched the third act interviews, go back, please, and watch them on YouTube, because we've brought some really high performers, really great people with great backstories to talk about, where they're at in their lives. Some have already transitioned into the third act, some are planning for it. But you've watched them. What are is there one or two kind of key themes that you could take out of each of those videos, each of those interviews, and kind of bring some, I suppose, advice for our viewers to kind of take with them?
I found them great, and to echo what you're saying, Carl, I would encourage anyone who's watching this to watch the previous episodes as well. I don't mind admitting that when I came on today saying it to you, people might be looking at this and going, well, you don't look like a guy that's going into the third act. Like, I'm 45. Based on your guidance.
45. 22, Benjamin Button here beside me.
But at 45, and since knowing you over the years, Carl, I have definitely been thinking about my third act.
Yeah.
Saying as I preach, it's compounding. A little often makes big differences. So watching the previous videos really helped me, and I took something from everyone. And I'll start with Patsy Carney. And he mentioned the dash from, is it Julia Ellis, the poet? Where the dash,
living your dash,
the living your dash, and what that represents is on your tombstone, your birth date and your death date. Like, those two numbers you have zero control over, but you have control over the dash in the middle. And I found that so inspiring, but also it got me selfishly going in my area, kind of going, right, can I make my dash higher and longer? Meaning, can I get my health and well-being to a higher level so that I can live a longer, healthier life? I don't want to live a long time sick. I want to live life for everything that it can give me. And that dash example really resonated me from Patsy's talk. And that led into Brendan's talk. And, his story about the hot air balloon in Portugal. And we know it was inspired, unfortunately, by Brendan's, 2 brothers dying early. And Patsy's dash and Brendan's attitude to live life now. Again, selfishly, and I'm almost apologizing. Right, I want to live life now, but can I live my life now on the terms that I can do everything I want to do right now, only to make things better in the future as well?
Yeah.
I am biased. You know, I am biased towards being as healthy as you possibly can so that you can enjoy the things you want now. You know, like I love going surfing with my kids and getting hammered in waves, just without sounding pessimistic, because I'm not a pessimistic person. Because I broke my back badly and I've had 6 surgeries on my back, I have arthritis and I have stenosis and it is degenerative. I'm not always going to be as active as I want to be. And that I know that's coming. So I can't just be waiting for retirement to end up wherever I'm going to end up. I want to live my life to the fullest now, but also do things that will extend what I can do into the future. Because there will come a time that I won't be as mobile as I am now.
Wow.
You know, and when I was listening to Brendan about living life now, you know, that really resonated, and it echoed into the dash that Patsy was saying as well.
Yeah.
And you know, when I was listening to Michael Houghton as well, and FIRE, I love reading about FIRE.
Yeah.
Financial independence, retire early.
You should follow my colleague Cian Callahan. He's big on all of that stuff. So on LinkedIn, he's putting out some great stuff, really great stuff.
I don't know, is this plagiarism or something? What about PIRE? PIRE.
Go on.
Physically independent, retire energized. It's my take on FIRE.
Go on, Joe.
You know,
you heard it here first. PIRE was launched on the third act series.
That's it. And
physically independent, retire energetically.
If I'm 70 and my son Joey is backpacking in South America, and he's going, "Hey Dad, I want to do the Salcondé Trail and I'm going to Machu Picchu." Hopefully, if my financial planning works, I'm going, right, I'll meet you there and I'm going to do it with you and we'll catch up and we'll have a chat.
Yeah.
I would see that as being physically independent.
Yeah.
If myself and my wife wanted, we did one of the best things myself and I'm with my wife since I was 18.
Right.
So we're 17 years married now. 18, 17. Around 17 years.
Very lucky guy. I met Tina.
Yeah. But back in 2004, when we were boyfriend and girlfriend, we decided to travel the world. And we did around the world and we backpacked and with some great stories about being broke and being the happiest in our lives.
Yeah.
When we're 80, could we do that?
Yeah.
Condense it into 7 weeks. Would we be physically able to do it?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by physical independence. I mean, can you prepare yourself to be physically able to do the things in your third act? Now, without getting pessimistic again, okay, our balance and our coordination starts deteriorating in our 30s.
Yeah.
Our strength and our aerobic capacity, for some people, depending on genetics, can start declining in your late 30s, early 40s. Everybody is going to be getting a little bit slower and a little bit...
Well, this is the aging process. I mean, that's not pessimistic. That's just being realistic, Joe. And it's...
But, you know, I really like the work of Dr. Peter Attia. And he spoke about the centenarian decathlon. 10 things you should be able to do in your 90s.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you wanted to be able to pick up your grandkids in your 90s, and we're making the assumption that the average grandchild is 11 kgs, and we know that you can lose about 17% strength per decade after your 40s. That means you should be able to lift 15 to 20 kgs over your head in your 40s, accepting that there is going to be a decline.
Yeah.
So for me, it goes back to my why. You know, if you want to hike 2.5 miles in your 70s, you need an aerobic capacity, without getting too scientific on this, about 30 milliliters of oxygen per minute per kg body weight circulate in your body. But we know that declines as you age. So we got to make sure that's high enough at the start so it doesn't decline to the point that we can't hike 3 kilometers or 3 miles in our 70s. So I don't look at this as a pessimistic perspective at all, to be honest. I say, right, we can stop the decline. In some cases, we can pause it, and in some cases, we can reverse it, depending on where you are. We need aerobic activity. Yes, we need to be aerobically active. If you look at the World Health Organization, they say we need 150 minutes of physical activity a week.
Yeah.
We need muscles, men and women. And I often say this to my students when they come in to do a resistance training module with me in first year. I believe that resistance training is more important for women than it is for men. And I believe it is more important when you age than it is when you're young. Okay? Because we lose muscle mass at a rate. And that has numerous health consequences. Resistance training, everybody should do resistance training at least twice a week until the grave. Most people hate the gym. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? If you like the gym, that's the most efficient way of doing it, to be honest. Yeah, and you don't have to be doing cleans and jerks and crazy stuff. You just have to apply external resistance to your body. Going up a stairs is external resistance.
Yeah.
In the pool, walking against water is resistance.
Yeah.
Lifting shopping bags is resistance.
Yeah.
Are you applying resistance to your musculature twice a week, every week until the grave?
Yeah.
That's essential.
Look, it's so on the aerobic thing, I'm pretty good with the walking. We're doing Karen School in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
So doing stuff like that is that's the aerobic fitness. I'm pretty poor at I can't get my head around doing the weights consistently. Obviously, I've done them. So, like but it's so important, really, isn't it? Like I have 20 years to look at this, and it's easy sometimes to I'll get to that now. I'll do that later on. But the time to start, like anything, it's like investing. The best time to invest is 20 years ago, and if you didn't do that, well, the best time is to do it now.
Yeah.
It's the same with the weights, isn't it?
It is. And just be careful not to fall into the trap of weights. It's resistance training. Anyone that's come here to Metis Ireland, I was talking to Susan before we came in, is there like 6 flights of stairs in this place?
We're up right at the top here. Yeah.
So that is a form of resistance training, going up and down the stairs.
Anyone who's afraid of the stairs, our boardrooms are on the ground floor, so don't put that off against coming in and doing a meeting with us.
And outside of obvious physical limitations like a wheelchair or restricted movement, I would encourage people always to just use the stairs.
Yeah.
That's a form of resistance training. Lifting things, and with the upper body, with blood pressure and cholesterol, we have to be a little bit careful. But are you pushing something?
Yeah.
Are you pulling something? Now, if you have high blood pressure, I wouldn't really be encouraging you to press overhead.
Okay.
But if you don't, are we pressing something overhead on a regular basis? And people say there's loads of different ways. Like you do Pilates from time to time as well. That's a form of resistance training.
Yeah.
So you talk to your fitness professional, talk to your doctor, talk to your dietitian, talk to your pharmacist. There's plenty of people who can give you little indications of what helps. And, a really quick funny story. The person will remain nameless, but I was at a conference not so long ago, and this man is a very substantial Irish rugby player from back in the day.
Right.
And he goes, you strength and conditioning coaches, you're only a shower of spoofers. Now, my day, there was never need to do any strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
And I was kind of going, I agree with you, which disarmed him straight away. I know that's a good communication tool. Agree with the person to go, no, you're supposed to fight with me. I was going, but back in the day, what did you do? I was milking cows and I was building walls and I was playing rugby. And he was playing for Ireland. I was going, you were doing resistance training every day of the week. You didn't need a strength and conditioning coach. The problem we have nowadays is people live too sedentary lifestyles. So we do need to do these extra things because we're not doing them as part of our daily life. But if you can be physically more active, like I've one client who got rid of his automatic lawnmower. Okay, the robot thing that does. And he said, I used to love pushing the land lawnmower, the small lawnmower. And he went away and he's bought a small little one. And it takes him 3.5 hours to cut his lawn. He cuts his lawn 3 times a week. No need to be doing it. It's overkill. But I'm not going to stop him because it's a form of resistance training and exercise.
But look, this kind of small things matter, don't they? So I when I got into the steps thing. Sorry for continuing to talk about the steps thing, but it's recency bias because it's what I'm doing at the moment. But I go to Dublin at least once a week, and sometimes it's more than that. And I'll always stop in Junction 14 for a coffee. And now I park in the furthest point away from Junction 14 because I'm going, geez, that'd be great now because I'll get the extra steps and I'll go in and I'll go the long way around and back around, But these small things, like, because I can count it, I know they compound. And obviously one little walk for 2 minutes in Junction 14 isn't going to make a difference. But if you're doing a lot of them every day, that's what compounds and that's what will make a difference.
€5 a day put away is nothing, but 35 euros a week is compounds quickly.
Exactly. 100%.
And going back to the previous videos as well, one thing I loved about Geraldine's talk, and actually Geraldine only messaged me yesterday. She completed my survey on LinkedIn.
Right, brilliant.
It was gas. I was listening to her podcast while she was doing the survey.
That's the universe for you.
It brings us together. But the big thing I took from Geraldine's talk was her financial plan gave her control, and she could control life on her terms. A lot of the time, people, when they're unhealthy with chronic disease, one of the things they state that the hardest thing to accept is the lack of control. And they don't have control when they're in hospital, and they don't have control when they're sick. But the future sick people nowadays, Carol, I believe, are the hustlers. The ones that are too busy to exercise now, the ones that are too busy to look after themselves. They are the future sick people who won't have control of their health.
What's your famous phrase? If you don't make time for your health now,
you got to make time for your sickness in the future. Yeah.
It's a little bit scary, that one, but that resonates with me for sure.
And going back to Geraldine's talk, she took control. Yeah. I'm encouraging people that are listening to this to take control of your health now, because it will pay you back tenfold in the future. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be complicated. Please don't compare yourself to the influencers. The plan that works best for you is the plan that you can consistently do. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You know? Showing up every day is far better than rare moments of excellence. And we often see that people rewarded. Like, no one posts on LinkedIn. I'm only on LinkedIn. I'm gone from all other social media. But people post these wonderful achievements. And I'd love if people just started posting the normal day. Hey, how's it going?
Or
normal again.
Had a really shit day, but I'm really going to. I'm posting this because I'm telling you I'm getting back on the horse tomorrow. And that's important too, because sometimes you can have a crappy day and you can say, "Oh, I just didn't go." In the past, what happened to me was that day became 2 days and 3 days. You know, and that's the important thing, is to, you know. So let's talk about. Sonia mentioned in her video about sitting around waiting for motivation. Probably not the best way to do it, Joe, is it?
No, I loved Sonia's talk where she mentioned action leads to motivation. Doing something, you'll get motivated out of it. And putting value on that action on your terms, not comparing it to other people. And I thought it was very, very powerful. And, you know, she said, like, let's just get going. And let's see what happens. And, you know, another thing that Sonia said that really resonated with me, two other things, is that not all problems are for fixing. A lot of problems are for navigating. And for me, optimal health in the long term is a navigation tool. But for some people, they may have high blood pressure for the rest of their life. They may have high cholesterol for the rest of their life. We're not going to fix it, as in it's perfect. But we're going to have to navigate it. You know, so there's certain lifestyle habits and nutrition habits that can really help us navigate these issues. That resonated with me when Sonia said that. I know it's almost like this is staged. It's genuinely not. I was listening to these and I was like, okay, I want to talk to the people who watch Carol's Third Act, who are looking at financial planning to secure their futures financially. Maybe I can influence their future health with the same language, with the same terminology, with the same mindset. And I believe that's the case.
And you are doing it but there are so many correlations. It's the same. It's like we're always asking people, take the long-term view. You need to take the long-term view, but frankly, you need to take the long-term responsibility for yourself too, because there's no point in having a huge bank account and not being able to enjoy it for whatever reason. You know, you got to look after yourself, and the 24-hour hustle, 24/7 hustle, like, I'm sorry, but you can't deliver that into your third act. It just won't work. There are going to be repercussions for you physically, mentally, emotionally, but also the one thing, let's talk about the blue zones, and we've spoken about that before. There are a number of things, a number of key characteristics for these blue zones, which are people. There are a couple of zones in the world called blue zones where people live to. They have way more centenarians than before. There's a brilliant Netflix program on this. I would encourage everybody to go and watch it, to give you encouragement to look after yourself. But the big thing, the 24/7 hustle, right, and just driving on and riding roughshod over all the people you come in contact with, what you lose is connection. And isn't that one of the big things, one of the big key characteristics?
It's a huge thing. And, you know, again, the 5 zones is challenged by certain people. It's going, no, there's no such thing as 5 zones. Then there's other people going, no, there's actually 9 zones. But let's just take it at face value. Okay, that we've got great history of success when it comes to living long. And what's critical here, Carl, not just living long, living well. You know, living life to its full. You touched on it there. One of the most important things is community. One of the things that ricochets through all this is a sense of community. And I believe as we've got more technologically laden in our lifestyle, and as we've had more social media networks, the one thing that we're losing is social connection, real social connection, and a sense of community, you know. And it's very, very important for us to realize that within any community, there are new members to the community, newborn kids, and there's elder people who have vast amounts of information and experience and knowledge and wisdom to pass down to us, and everyone in the middle. And what you will see in these communities in the blue zones is everyone has a role, you know. I know we're not mentioning retirement, but in 2 of the 5 official blue zones, they don't have a word for retirement in their language. They don't have it. So when an older person isn't physically capable of working the land or the sea or whatever it is, like they used to in their 30s and their 40s, well, then their role changes, and they might be doing more easier tasks around, or they might be minding their grandkids or their great-grandkids. Or in some communities, a very important role of the elders is passing on history and passing on stories and legacy. So community is multifactorial. I touched very briefly on a lecturer who helped me, Liz Brunton. When I was in college, having my, you know, and in one of your previous episodes as well, we spoke about imposter syndrome, and, you know, let's scrap the idea of imposter syndrome. Let's use that as a growth mindset, that you're open enough to your own development, that you know there's areas that you need to improve and grow. And she introduced me to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, okay? And that there was many different types of intelligence. And 2 of them, linguistic, your ability with languages, and logical, ability with maths or numbers, are heavily weighted into our education system. So the Leaving Cert rewards you. If you can rote learn and regurgitate, you pretty much have a good chance of doing a good Leaving Cert. Now, how many times have we seen the high correlation with good Leaving Cert and good employees, you know, or good life skills? So we've got interpersonal intelligence and intrapersonal intelligence. So your ability to good communicating with people.
Well, I'm in the middle of all that Leaving Cert results and CAO and there's an awful lot of stress around that. But I think you're right. It's like, it's, you know, who can remember the most gets the highest points, and that doesn't translate into the most successful careers, or that the highest points in the Leaving Cert brings you to the correct course for you. And I think there's a big gap there. But our education is, we could talk a long time about that, Joe. I'm not sure it's fit for purpose anymore.
I actually did a study where I looked at, so I profiled students' intelligence profile across 9 different types of intelligence, according to Howard Gardner. Sorry, if I can just stop it back 1 sec really quickly so people can relate to this. We spoke about community. That's what put this in my head. That interpersonal communication and the ability to sit down and talk to someone is almost a skill from a bygone era at this stage. You know, to like.
What do you mean I have to ring somebody?
You know, I don't think I'm creepy or acting like that, but I held the door for someone the other day and I said, "Hello, how are you?" And they looked at me as if I was the biggest weirdo ever. I just presumed that being polite and being, you know.
I just back from Berlin, Joe. You should go to Berlin. Holy God. They're missing us big time over there.
Yeah, and actually, I'm bouncing all over the place, but it has relevance. There's a really interesting American artist, and he's a photographer. And he travels the subways and he takes photographs of the people in the subway. But he edits out the mobile phone out of their hand. You know? And it's the weirdest thing ever. Like, you're looking at everyone looking at the palm of their hand. But as society, we've become preconditioned to accepting that that's normal. I saw someone walk into a lamppost the other day. They were out for a walk on their phone, smash into the white lamp, and I nearly crashed my car. I shouldn't say it, but I was just bent over laughing. I was like, this is typical. But that goes back to the blue zones and of that sense of community, that interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence. Really quickly, we've got kinesthetic intelligence. People are good with their hands. Are you telling me a carpenter or a sculptor who can't read or write but can take a lump of wood or a rock and make something beautiful isn't intelligence? We got spatial intelligence. Ask an architect to visualize a room. That's a form of intelligence. When I was studying it was known as religious intelligence. It's now been evolved into emotional intelligence. And one of the things that's coming from my research is that leaders really value socio-cognition. The ability to have a sense of empathy, the ability to read the room. That's a form of intelligence. So
self-awareness is
self-awareness. That brings me back to the sense of community in the blue zones. All these blue zones, they're very self-aware without being knobby or arrogant, but we might need to edit that word out.
We don't do edits, Joe.
But you know my point. A sense of notions.
Yeah.
A lot of these
notions, I love it.
A lot of these blue zones don't do that because they have a very good sense of community and a sense of communication. Other things they have is that they don't stop working. They stay physically active. A lot of their work is physically challenging.
Yeah.
A key thing.
I know what you're going to get to.
Is rest.
Yeah.
And the ability to chill and to decompress.
Yeah.
And they never really work themselves into the ground. They work hard.
Yeah.
And they have appropriate rest that goes with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and we spoke before, and it's not my work, it's the work of Brad Stulberg and Steve Magnus came up with the growth equation.
Yeah.
In order to grow, okay, you need stress and you need rest.
Yeah.
And this is something that's very much evident in the blue zones.
Yeah.
So, Carlo, one of the things that the blue zones do really well is nutrition.
Yeah.
It's real food, sourced locally, cooked properly. That's key. Now, we had this in Ireland for years.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm in West Limerick. Okay.
That's not complex, Joe.
No, it's it's very simple.
Yeah.
There was a study published a few years ago. Okay. The study was 27 years long across 192 countries. Okay. 27 years, 192 countries. That's important because it gets rid of the trends and the fads. They've come and gone numerous times because all these things come around in cycles. It's important to go across many countries so that we balance out cultural bias. Okay? They looked at daily adjusted life years. So the nutrition choices that you make that will have a negative effect on your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, from a health, chronic health, acute health, but also output and function.
Yeah.
They also looked at deaths. And over that 27 years across 192 countries, they came up with 3 things that are doing harm when it comes to nutrition. Okay? So the science behind this is complex. This is why you need dietitians to do this work. But what I'm about to say is a very easy, actionable points.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, we don't eat enough whole grains.
Yeah.
Okay? We don't eat fibrous foods. We don't get enough fiber.
Yeah.
Okay? Number 2 is we don't eat enough fruit and vegetables. There isn't enough color in our diet.
Yeah.
I've said this to you before.
Yeah.
Eat the colors of the rainbow every day. And in Ireland, we're pretty good at, I have to say it every time, Richard of York gave that in red, orange, yellow, and green. We're actually okay in Ireland at those, I think.
Yeah.
It's the blue, indigo, and violets, those rich polyphenols, those colorful things.
Give me examples.
Beetroot.
Right.
Red onion.
Yeah.
Red cabbage. Grapes.
Yeah.
All those rich colors are really, really full of antioxidants, are very, very important.
Okay.
Okay. And the third thing, and actually the third thing should have been the first thing. The thing that does most harm to us in this study is too much sodium. And we predominantly get too much sodium in processed foods.
Yeah.
Processed foods, and in particular processed meats, are bad news for your long-term health. Why do we eat so much of it? Because convenience. Our diets are poor because of convenience.
I was doing what I always tell people not to do. I wasn't really listening to you there because I wanted to make a point. I was thinking about the point I wanted to make, but I think it's relevant here, so apologies. So my day yesterday, I got up. I'm trying to do the eating window that we've spoken about. We won't even go there, right?
Yeah.
Got up. Emma was starting back to school, so I dropped Emma to school, and then I went straight to Dublin. I got to Dublin and I literally had back-to-back meetings until 6 p.m. Mm-hmm. One of them was lunch, and I had a healthy lunch. So I had chicken and salads with Paddy Andrews. Fair play, Paddy. Paddy made me do that.
Excellent.
But then I went back. 6 o'clock. I'm in Blackrock in Dublin, and I'm like, Jesus, I need to. So I get in the car and I'm on the M50. I have all the traffic, blah blah blah. So I come into a one of the petrol stations just on the Naas dual carriageway. And I go in, and I want to stay going home. There are salads there, and I'm like, how would I eat that now if I want to keep going? Yeah. So I got a sandwich, and I got a little quiche because I was absolutely starving because Paddy made me have the rabbit food at lunchtime.
Let's be clear, it's all Paddy's fault.
Yeah. So my point is, it can be difficult. That petrol station, I can't say it didn't have salads. It did. Most of the petrol stations don't actually have the healthy options.
They don't.
So,
no.
So what should I have done? How can I fix that?
Yeah.
Because although I didn't eat a lot yesterday, I'm pretty sure I ate a good bit of stuff that wasn't necessarily good for me.
Okay. I have 3 things to say here.
Yeah.
1, brain, hydration, and protein. So I'm just going to come back. The brain is the most powerful thing in the body. it regulates our whole operations. So if you haven't eaten for a long time like that, your glucose levels are really, really low.
Yeah.
Now we need glucose to function, on a regular basis. And there are different methodologies and ideas out there about, fasting and releasing ketones and all that. But the optimal fuel is glucose. It's what we need. So if your brain is picking up that don't have enough energy, it's going to say, well, go get sugar, Carol. Get sugar. I need energy. Go get it.
Yeah.
And then years and years of traveling and just living, you'll have associated sugar with certain foods. There's some interesting research on associating colors with sugars as well in the brain, and the association with your red and your yellow and your blue colors. So the next time you're going to the till, think of the colors that come back from you.
Yeah.
Just look at the colors.
Yeah.
Now think of all your fast food chains.
Yeah.
What colors are they? Don't mention anyone. Just think of them. Think of all that highly processed, highly convenient food.
Beige.
Yeah, well, but the packaging is going to be a combination of red, yellow, or blue. Yeah. And we can.
But when you open the packaging, that's beige.
Yeah, well,
what's in there?
The processing is killing us, to be honest. So that's one of the first things. The opposition you had yesterday was your brain.
Yeah.
And it was there to protect you. Okay, so it needed energy.
Yeah.
Hydration is the other thing.
Yeah.
If you think we need to be, like a lot of people say, drink 8 glasses of water a day. Okay, let's make the assumption that every glass on the planet is the same size.
Yeah.
And I'm talking, like we're here in Limerick and we've got Paul O'Connell and we've got Peter Stringer. I'm probably showing my age a little bit that I chose those. Yeah. And I'm telling Paul O'Connell to drink 8 glasses of water a day, and I'm no offense to Peter, I'm telling Peter to drink 8 glasses of water a day, but that's a different volume of water per person.
Different vessels that the water's going into.
Yes, exactly. And we've got a pint and we've got a shot glass. So, So how much water should we drink? Well, about 35 milliliters per kg body weight. So for easy maths, if you were 100 kgs, you should be drinking about 3.5 litres of water a day, which seems like an awful lot.
Yeah.
In my research to date, my provisional results to date in the survey that I've circulating at the moment, 60% of people don't meet that recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, why is that important? Well, the brain needs water, your digestive tract needs water, and for us to function, we need water. So you were not only hungry, but I'm going to make the assumption you were dehydrated on top of it.
Yeah, because I was drinking loads of coffee. Now, I did for the last 2 meetings drink water, but you're right, I was drinking loads of coffee and I was
so we were hungry and dehydrated, which means that our metabolic system now is no longer efficient. So when we bring food into our system, we've pretty much 2 options, and this is an oversimplification, but there's 2 options. We can use that energy to fuel activity, or we can store it as body fat. But if you're very, very hungry and dehydrated, even the food you're eating, you may not be able to convert it over to energy very well, so you might store it as body fat. That's where eating foods that are a little bit higher in fats and healthy proteins have a greater satiety effect. So they will keep you fuller for longer. So having your backup plan in the car is your plan here, Carl. It's not going to replace missing meals, but it's going to help the physiology of nutrition. So having some healthy seeds and nuts in the water, or in the car with your water, are really high in protein and really high in healthy fats that will keep you fuller for longer. Okay, would be the key there. I'm going to patronize, and everyone that says this, it feels patronizing.
I'm well used to that.
We should know our plan. Like, we planned for you to go have a good time at the festival. You knew you were going to Dublin. You knew you had a long drive up. You knew you wouldn't have access to food on the way down. Therefore, we should have had stuff in the car. You know? And that little bit of preparation goes a long way. Like, we have a podcast today. I prepared for today. You prepared for today. People aren't good at preparing their nutrition because convenience is the nutrition market. If you look at a lot of the big nutrition companies, they hire numerous marketing people and numerous psychologists. Let's use the psychology of marketing to get people to eat more processed foods because their scenario has put them in a place that they need convenience. We need to reverse engineer that a little bit and say, right, how do I stop myself going in there? I love when you stop in Junction 14, you go for the walk. I love the idea that you go for a drink of water. And caffeine is okay. Just before I go, caffeine is one of the 2 main ergogenic aids or supplements that we know. Creatine works and caffeine works. Creatine works not only for the sports people, it works for cognitive performance also. Caffeine is also ergogenic to your cognitive performance and your physical performance. Personally, I don't drink caffeine after 12 p.m. in the day because it will affect my sleep. And I've been tracking my sleep for 6 years. I know it does.
Okay.
So I don't drink it. But I love coffee. It doesn't dehydrate us as much as we think. A lot of people blame coffee, for dehydrating them because they're not drinking water. And they say, I'm dehydrated because I drank so much coffee. No, you're dehydrated because you drank no water. So if I just bring it back to those three things just for the summary, because I thought yesterday's example was super. Your competitor was your own brain, who is trying to protect you, to get you home. It's trying to give you energy because you let it run empty. Okay, we need hydration for all our physiological systems to work. And protein and healthy fats in the forms of seeds and nuts and healthy fruit as well are really good options to keep you fuller that little bit longer. They're not going to replace well-planned meals throughout the day, you know?
I have one nutrition question. I know the answer because I know what you think, right? So kids are back to school, making lunches. What goes in most lunches? Ham and cheese sandbows on white bread. That a good idea, Joe?
Not particularly. Processed meats, I think we need to draw a little bit more attention towards processed meats. Now, like when you're looking at the likes of the hot dogs and certain types of sausages and all that, and burger meats and all that, there's chemical in there or compound in there called nitrosamines, okay? And these are very carcinogenic. Okay, and what makes them carcinogenic? If they're exposed to high heat, they have a high protein content. So if you look at a lot of those highly processed meats, they're cooked at very high heats because they have to, because the quality of the meat going in isn't fantastic. And they're also very high protein. And then they're cooled, and a lot of them become sliced meats, highly processed meats. The idea of, so for me with meats, I would much prefer for you to take chicken off the bone and use that. Okay. Or to use real meats where possible. A lot of people will argue that we eat too much red meat. I would agree with that. But slicing up a nice cut of beef maybe once a week for make a beef sandwich is a good sandwich. We don't eat enough fish in this country. We live in an island, lads, with a massive river through the middle. We got to eat a lot more fish. And a metric that I'm looking at in one of my studies is your omega-3 index, which is linked to a lot of cognition and cardiovascular health. That comes in oily fish and salmon and sardines and mackerel. We just don't eat that. Now, I'm not for 1 minute stating that I would put fish in my kids' lunch going into school, because they wouldn't eat it, and if they open that lunchbox, we all have that person in the office, and I will name a fella. Can I name a fella? Call him out. A lot of people might know Fionn Fitzgerald, former Kerry football captain. Paddy Andrews would know Fionn Fitzgerald fairly well. Fiona's a great man for opening up his tuna salad in our office at work in the college. And a couple of us would be like, Fiona, would you go out into the yard? So the idea of a white bread versus brown bread, I would like you to eat real bread. Do you remember the old brown bread we used to make at home, Carol? And if you left if you left it out on the table overnight, it probably wouldn't be as healthy the following morning. Because it's real food, and real food oxidizes and goes off very quickly. Like in college, white bread saved me. Like you could get a week out of a white sliced pan. And if it was dodgy, you'd make toast out of it.
A week? Jesus, Joe, a week? No wonder you're the size you are. I'm the size I am.
No, I mean, it could last that long. But, right, white bread is high glycemic. It gets into your system very quickly. And sometimes where people get confused here, Carol, is they say, I see high performance teams having white rice and white pasta before a match. The reason they're taking it in there, and white bread, is that it gets into your system really quickly. I remember years ago, Arsenal were playing a Champions League game and they got criticised for having pizza after the game. But this was a Wednesday night, they're playing again on Saturday. We need to recover as quick as possible. The good side of the white, high glycemic foods is that it gets into your system really, really quickly. In a sports context, that makes sense. In a health context, it's not the best thing. We want low glycemic foods that are slow release energy. So to answer your question for the kids' school lunchbox, let's go with whole grain brown real bread. Can we put real meat in there? And let's put some colour in there in the form of salads and stuff. If kids won't eat salads, can we put in a yogurt that might be fortified with vitamin D or with certain vitamins and minerals as well? And can we please add some fruit?
The whole cooked chickens, they're okay, are they? The ones that they cook in the supermarket?
Yes. But I prefer you to buy the chicken and cook it yourself fresh. Not
happening, Joe. But anyway, thanks for that.
Do you remember what we were saying about let's not let perfection get in the way of progress? I would say that bagged cooked chicken that you got from the market is far better from the sliced luncheon that comes out of a tin.
Yeah.
But the best thing is the fresh chicken that you cook yourself. You know, so let's not let perfection get in the way of progress.
Yeah.
If and what I like, my doctorate is in human performance and innovation. And the innovation I'm working on is a platform that will take all the information we spoke about today, wearables and mindset and physiology and nutrition and meditation and mindfulness, all this, and bring it down to stop the noise for people. And I might get to the end of this innovation, Carol, and say, right, Carol, I've highlighted 33 things that you need to improve on. But here are the top 3 that we're going to make the biggest effect now. Yeah. I would encourage people to try to identify 1, 2, maybe 3 things that they know aren't good for them that they can change today.
Yeah.
And go after them and fix them first. They're the big rocks. I saw Paul O'Connell speak at the Pendulum Summit before. And I've seen other people speak about this concept as well, about your jar. And you can only fit so much in your jar. But if you take your 3 big rocks, they take up a lot of space. Okay, and they're the 3 most important things. I think Paul spoke about your family, your friendships, and your career. I may be wrong in that, but generally, whatever your 3 big rocks
are. But you can't have too many things that
you
say, they're all my focus.
They're not all your big rocks.
They can't all be your focus.
But you can add in a few pebbles then around them.
And a bit of sand.
And a bit of sand.
Yeah.
And one of the videos I watched, it was very funny. He put in the rocks, he put in the pebbles, he put in the sand, and then he cracked open a beer and he put in the beer on top, and he goes, there's always time for a beer with your buddies. Despite what I said about alcohol and everything else. And that goes back to that. And I haven't touched on it yet, and I normally do, the biopsychosocial model of health.
Yeah.
You know, that we need to find balance between our biology, our psychology, and our sociology. I can't give you any biological upside of drinking alcohol. In my book, there is no upside from a biological basis to drink alcohol. It's bad for you. One of my good friends, my best friend, he lives in Canada. So when he comes home, we'd go for a couple of beers. I know biologically that's not good for my health, but psychosocially, my social network, that's social health. And my psychological health, my mental well-being, it's good to meet up with an old friend and have a chat. And we slag each other and we offend each other, as lads do. If anyone watched the conversation, they say those 2 lads hate each other, they're fighting. But that's our friendship. So I'm always looking at the biopsychosocial model of health, and I've been really lucky to work in high-performance teams with great management and great colleagues, and most importantly with great players and athletes. And I think my strength as a coach, and I bring it into CoachPACT, is I heavily lean on the biopsychosocial model of health. That I appreciate that there has to be compromise for progress, and accountability is a big part of that.
And look, genuinely, that's why I enjoy working with you, because you're real. And you understand that life is real, and that there are times I will go for a few pints, or I'll go to the match, or I'll be going away and whatever. And I think being real and realistic is that's why it can endure.
I think Sonia touched on this as well, in that coaching is about helping people solve the problems themselves. Don't try to solve everyone's problem, because you take away their power. You take away their ownership. And for me, coaching is about helping people own their own path. For me, the greatest compliment I can have is when a client doesn't need to work with me anymore. They're fine. Like, I have clients, I was only talking to one yesterday, we had a good old chat, just rang for a chat. And I'm going, well, have you any goals coming up? Yeah, but I don't need you to do it. I've learned enough, because they've taken ownership of it. And I think that's true coaching. Like, that you hold people responsible for their decisions, but you coach them to take control of their own future.
Well, look, and to be fair to you, you didn't come on here now to be promoting your wares, but no. I am a client, have been a client for a long time. Joe at CoachPACT.com. That's .ie.
We are Irish. We are Irish.
Joe at CoachPACT.ie. Get in touch with them. You know, if any of this resonates and you just want, I think, an accountability tool, it's absolutely the way to go. I couldn't have done it on my own, because when I wavered, I would have stayed. I'd have stayed off track. But you have an innate ability to kind of figure out, well, they're the levers I need to pull now to get him or her back on track. So anyway, we better wrap up here, because otherwise nobody will listen to a 6-hour conversation. Right? There are 2 quick things that I want to ask you before we wrap up. You work with elite athletes. What are maybe 2-3 lessons that you can take for elite athletes and bring it into the corporate world to make us corporate athletes?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot of lately, and it goes back to the hustle and multitasking, and there's loads of research on why multitasking is not a good idea. Okay, but let's just forget the research. Just look real world for a minute.
Yeah.
Working with elite athletes and teams and management teams and leaders within those setups as well. One thing, there's two things really. They deal with the most prevalent problem right now.
Yeah.
What's the biggest fire in the house right now?
Urgent and important.
Let's fix it. If it's not urgent and it's not important, is it worth doing at all? Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Is it, what's the urgent and important? And the other thing is planning. And I know this is echoing everything we've said, but there's a term in sports science that we use called periodization. And everyone that has any remote interest in sport realizes this, that there's pre-season.
Yeah.
There's pre-competitive. There's competitive season. There's peak season. But what a lot of people don't realize is that there's a transition season where people actually come down off the season as well.
Yeah.
Like you can't take a competitive athlete and say, right, stop now for 2 weeks and start in 2 weeks again.
Yeah.
They need to come down off it. So there's transition.
Yeah.
And then there is off season.
Yeah.
And within that planning process, you plan to build, but most importantly, you plan to recuperate. And for me, if the corporate world could take one thing from elite sport, is the same way you plan to work hard, plan your downtime.
Yeah.
Don't take rests or breaks or downtime because you have to, because if you don't, you're going to crash. Take those plans because they're strategically placed within periods of your year that will not only recharge your batteries, but set you up for better performance for things to come again. Like some people in the corporate world just keep pushing until they have to stop.
Yeah.
I had a client before.
That was me.
I had a client before that used to pride himself on 3-day holidays. Okay, and I'll go down to holidays and I'll get my wife, and I don't want to sound chauvinistic or sexist or anything. This could easily be a woman with a man and so on. But I'll go down, I'll get them set up, my wife and kids, for 2 to 3 days, and I'll be there, and I'll come back and I'll get a week's work done, and then I'll go down for the last day or two, and I'll be able to bring them home then.
Yeah.
And that was his holiday, and I was going, no way, man, that's not. Now this same guy had a heart attack and then came back and said, no, now I need to deal with the consequences. And it goes back to Sonia's point, where we can't solve this problem, we can't fix this, we can only manage it now. But that was his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Other clients then, I use that example a lot, and I'm saying, right, when you go on holidays, how long does it really take you to switch off? For most people, it's 3 or 4 days.
You know this because I was talking to you when I was over there. I went to the Canaries in January for a week, and I thought this would be great. And on the Saturday, we flew back on the Sunday, I think. And on the Saturday, the day before we flew back, I went, just beginning to come down now and get relaxed,
What did your heart rate variability tell you?
That it
reflected.
Yeah, it reflected.
Yeah.
But so there you go. Like that was 6 whole days before I actually went, okay, I'm ready.
And on the planning, Carl, you don't just work. Like, have you been in the office there and you're flying out of Shannon at 6 o'clock in the evening, and at 3:30 here, you're floating around, going mad.
Yeah.
No, you plan the downtime as well. How am I going to wind down in the lead up to this holiday? So I wouldn't have the holiday at that peak. It goes back to my periodization in sports performance. I'd have that transition period where I can wind down. Start the wind down.
Such a good point. How many of us who are working flat out all the time absolutely smash it up to the point we go on holidays and then wonder why it takes us a few days to relax when we get on holidays?
There's a skill to that.
I know somebody who should take that lesson, but anyway.
Remain nameless.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's like I was a hustler. Yeah. At one stage I had 2 businesses going. I was lecturing and I was working with not 1 but 2 inter-county teams, and I had 3 athletes preparing for the Olympics. I was an idiot. Yeah. COVID was one of the best things. It reset me. It taught me what was important. Yeah. But just to echo that holiday and that break, that you plan the transition from the busy period into the start of the holiday, but also have cues and skill sets to wind down. Now, I'm going to admit to what I do, okay? I allow myself to check my emails for 20 minutes for the first 2 to 3 days of the holidays. Yeah. Because I would find myself getting a little bit wound up. What am I missing out on? And when I go in and check it and I'm disciplined, and I picked that up off the 4-hour work week.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Tim Ferriss. Yeah, Tim Ferriss. And he said, schedule your emails. Just check them for half an hour at 11 o'clock on a Monday. And do you know what? If someone needs you, they'll ring you. But what it did, it eased me off. And every time I went back, I was, everything's fine.
Yeah,
and this is when I had the businesses and I had other things going.
Yeah.
But then come the third day, I'm chilled and I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
I religiously on my, and I look at a holiday as a regeneration thing. I religiously have a morning routine, and this doesn't have to be crazy. I'm a triathlete or runner. For me, going out and just doing my morning jog is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's extra benefit when I do it with Tina, my wife.
Yeah.
You know, but it, as well on my own, it works as well. And it's not that I'm putting structure on my holidays. I'm using my holidays as a strategic tool so that I can still perform at a level when I come back. But the key message, and I'll finish on this, Carl, is that I can work to a level that I'm content with.
Yeah.
That buys me time to live my life with my family and friends as well.
Love it, love it, love it. Joe, give us one podcast or book everyone should listen to or read.
I have a critical friend, Dr. James Hewitt, in the UK. He just brought out an excellent book on everything I'm speaking about.
Yeah.
Okay. It's called Regenerative Performance. It only came out a couple of weeks ago.
Dr. James
Hewitt.
Yeah. Regenerative Performance. Okay.
It's an excellent book that touches on nearly everything I spoke about today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe, you've mentioned you're doing the PhD. You want our help. How can we help you?
The person I'm studying, Carl, and hopefully the person's listening to this podcast, are at that C-suite level, are senior business leaders or are business leaders. I can't get to you with a cold email. I can't get to you with a LinkedIn post. You're a time poor high performer. You will not give up 15, 20 minutes easily. The problem I have is much of the research in my area on C-suite executives and business leaders isn't done on C-suite executives and business leaders.
Yeah.
It's not. It's done on different populations, and then a lot of the stuff is making assumption that this is how leaders behave.
Yeah.
So it's a beliefs and values survey around everything I spoke about today. So I want to know, what do business leaders truly believe and value? So which will lead me into my next phase of my research, which will validate the things that people believe and value, and which will feed into an innovation that will quieten all the noise and make life easier for business leaders and C-suite executives. But first, I need to know what C-suite executives and business leaders really value. And I'm looking for a global reach. Like I'm about 75% dominant to Ireland at the moment. I have about 12% penetration into the UK. I have a small penetration into the US, and then I have a spatter across the Middle East, and I have a client in Norway and Azerbaijan and Australia. But I'm hoping that the people listening to this will appreciate that I want to know what these people think and believe. So in time that they're reading my work, that is actually done on the people who's reading the work.
Yeah.
That's my ask.
So what we'll do is, obviously this will be going out on LinkedIn. We'll obviously tag Joe. If you want to get in touch with Joe will be putting up his, as to where you can go and do a survey. So please do help Joe. And if you want to work with Joe at CoachPACT.ie. The legend that is Joe O'Connor. Thank you so much. If you're still with us, fair play. Absolute gold, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Cheers.
Really appreciate it.
Well done.
Thank you.